In the past 24 or so hours, I've personally profited just about $15,000 or $17,000, and that's across a handful of projects that I'm involved in, a couple of different businesses, primarily um, the two businesses that I talk about on this channel. And yeah, this morning it's almost noon, okay, and I haven't really done that much today, and I didn't really do that much yesterday. I had one meeting where I was onboarding onto a new software that we're running for our company. Okay, it's 24 grand for the year. I'm splitting it up monthly, and great software for like grading our calendar and everything. Anyway, I decided like I just want to make a video about like this idea that has really been sitting with me, which is like the harder you work, the more stuck your income is. Okay, and um, this really came to me when I realized, I'd had big breakthroughs in my business where I realized that I've just been working too hard. And what's interesting about when you work too hard, it's that you don't allow time and good decisions to do their job. Okay, so there's a couple layers of like making money. The first layer, the bottom rung, is time for money, basically like labor for money. Okay, the second layer is leverage for money, which is basically just, leverage is just a multiplier on your efforts. So you work harder, you still work hard, but instead of getting paid $10 an hour, you're getting paid $1,000 an hour because you're working on more valuable projects, solving more meaningful problems, or serving more customers at scale or something. But then the final layer that I like to believe that I've gotten to this point now, and I like seeing my clients get to that point as well. I have one client, one one-on-one consulting client who we literally 10x'd his business in 7 months, from about 10 or 15 grand a month to now he's well over 100 grand a month. And he works less now than he did then, which is amazing. And that's the whole point of this video. And I want to talk about that. And links in the description to work with me one-on-one about scaling your business, okay? But the final layer is really just getting paid for the quality of your decisions, okay? And that's what I want to talk about in this video here. So, there's a good book called A CEO Only Does Three Things, okay? And this is almost silly that I'm even bringing up the book because I only remember two of them, and those are the two that I really think about, which is numbers and economics. Those are two of the three, okay? And it's written by a guy named Trey as well, which is like a part of why I bought the book. So it's a good book though. And in the book, he talks about like numbers and how the clarity of your numbers allows you to make good decisions, and good decisions is what drives, further growth. What a lot of people do, and a lot of gurus will convince you that you need to buckle down and do all the setting and all the closing and all the client delivery yourself. And you can do that. And you can get a business to 100 grand a month and profit like 70. But the problem with that is every road leads back to you. Like there's this idea of like, oh, what's the point of scaling a business to $500,000 a month if you're only profiting 35%? And I'm like, the point is you don't have to do anything. That's the point. The point is you have a head of client success. You have a head of marketing. You have, people on the ship who run the day to day. That's what I have in my other company, the Kingdom Closer Academy. Honestly, I don't have to do anything. And that business is going to keep growing 20 to 50% month over month until we're at $500,000 a month. Like the trajectory is extremely clear. We know exactly what we need to do. We just wrapped up our first 6-figure month. We're on pace to have another 6-figure month now, well over 6-figure month now. And it's just growing steady. And I'm not really doing that much over there. And of all that money, I keep about 40% of what comes in. So it's a great, the profit margins are phenomenal. I don't have to do anything because I have a head of client success, I have a head of sales team, okay, and I've built the funnel and I don't need to do that anymore. And at some point, I'm probably going to raise up somebody to even do like a lot of the direct response marketing stuff over there as well. And so I don't have to work that hard. And this is what I want you to understand is, like today, right now, I was just decorating for Christmas downstairs. And that's what inspired this video actually is I'm literally downstairs decorating for Christmas. And I wasn't even thinking about work. And I just started really like, wow, like today we've got 8 sales calls on the calendar, confirmed sales calls for our $5,800 offer in my other company. Should be like a $10K day today, easily. And spend like $1,500 on ads today, maybe. And then in my coaching coaches business, this business, I've got this month I brought in 3 new clients, and I'm not working that hard. Okay, I've just positioned myself where I'm best and I make good decisions. Like with this channel, for example, an example of a good decision for this channel is I go back, I look at month over month, which months do I tend to get the most like clients, and I just look at the topics that I talk about in those months, and then I'm just talk more about more about those topics. Look at the way that I was opening my videos, look at the way that I was kind of marketing on Instagram, whatever. And with Kingdom Closer Academy, for example, I look at my record week. Our record week, we did just shy of 50,000 in a single week with this is a brand new business that we launched 3 months in. I mean, 3 months in, we did a $50,000 week, and we only spent about $8,000 or $9,000 on ads that whole week. So I'm looking at that week, I'm like, okay, what were we doing right? Because at the time, I felt like we kind of got lucky, but I'm looking back, there's a couple things we were doing really, really well. Like, for example, we had phone setters, people who were calling leads and setting them up, and we decided to not have phone setters. And I'm like, okay, we probably should bring that back. And another thing is we had a little bit more focus on the Instagram channel as an overflow. So we'd run ads to the VSL, people would check out the VSL, but then they'd check out our Instagram page. And we had more support on the Instagram channel, like setter, whatever, people managing that, doing stories, etc. And kind of don't have as much focus on that anymore. So I'm just looking at like, okay, what were we doing that was working? So a big part of your job becomes taking a lot of action and just making sure you're measuring the results as you go along. So a lot of your job as an entrepreneur is to just take action, not really judge the process for a while, measure what's happening, and then look at what worked and double, triple, quadruple down on it. Okay. I've got another client, one of my one-on-one clients, the one I took from 10 grand to 100 grand a month. He's a great example of this, but I already mentioned him. He's like a work-life balance coach. Great guy, amazing guy. And another one of my clients, he helps parents get scholarships for their kids. And he actually came to me doing like 10 grand a month. He just wrapped up a $60,000 month. He should do more than that this month, $80,000 this month. And what we discovered with him was that he's too in his business. This creates such a cap for a lot of people. You're too in your business. You're doing too much, right? You need to do a little bit, and a little bit that you do needs to be extremely effective, and you need to build around it so that you're not so in the weeds that you can't just measure the business. Like, for example, if I'm like, this is kind of a crude example, but if I'm like working on a car engine and I'm literally like this close to the engine and I'm just tweaking, or I'm always driving it. I'm either always looking at the engine and tweaking the engine, or I'm always driving it. Okay, so I'm always in the steering seat, pedal to the metal, hitting curves, whatever, just doing one or the other isn't going to work, right? I like to see my businesses as like I drive them for a bit, and I kind of zoom out and I let it coast and kind of see, okay, I'm gonna drive it again. Let it coast for a bit. Okay, I'm gonna drive it again. Let it coast, and if I feel like the engine needs some work, I work on the engine a little bit. But what a lot of people do, there's this like technician type of personality where all you do is you look at spreadsheets all day. You got to get out of that. You got to get on sales calls. You got to talk to clients. But then there's a type of people, and these types of people. These are like the bro marketers. These are the guys that are like, just call every single lead, close every single lead, hard sale. Like, they're like nicked up, caffed up every day. They work out every single day, no rest days. They're just on all the freaking time. And their philosophy is just go, 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 go. Neither of those work. What you have to do is take enough action to gather data, okay? Look at the data and look at the constraints, understand what your topmost constraint is, and just solve it one constraint at a time. Like in our other company, I'm well aware that my constraint is our show rate. Our show rate's about 45%. We're still producing as much as we are, 45%. But if we can get it to like 60%, and we're going to do that with bringing back the phone setters, by the way. That's kind of the plan. Bring back the phone setters. They're not just setting, but they're confirming and nurturing and warming up the bookings and everything. And 45% on cold, by the way, is phenomenal. I mean, I know people who do 25, 30% on cold. 45's pretty freaking good without a lot of the support that we're going to bring in. So I just want to make a short video, you guys, of like, it might sound like bragging that like I don't work that much, but there's actually an advantage to not working that much, to only doing the things that I'm particularly good at, and then bringing in outside help for the things that I'm not that good at, and raising up leaders for the stuff that I am good at, but would take all of my time and would keep me from, like, if I don't have a leader doing something, then I end up like just working on the engine or just driving the car, right? I need people who can help me do specific things. And that way, I don't need to work that much. Okay, so I just want to really drill home that this idea that like the harder you work, the more capped your income becomes. Because like practically, if you think about it, if I leave you with one idea from this video, it's this: if your willpower is your first go-to tool to solve a problem, then guess what's going to be relied on for the rest of your life? You are going to need to be present, active, and mobilized, and constantly moving in order for your business to make any money. And to me, I don't want that. I grew a multi-7-figure business purely off of my brand, off of my face, being loud, being popular on social media and everything. I did it. And it was amazing. I made a ton of money. But in the back of my head, I knew that if I stopped, I'd stop making money, and I just hated that. So I want you to be willing to take the short-term hit to your income of not doing everything in your business in order to long-term create more wealth. Because to me, wealth is the discrepancy between really how much energy you have to put into a system and how much you get out of it. That to me is like, that's how I determine wealth, right? Like this is why like $10 million or $100 million invested into the S&P 500 is like wealth, because like you're going to passively make $600 to $6 million a year. You know what I mean? Like passively. And so to me, wealth is, I don't have to put a lot in, but I get a ton out. Okay. And I never believe in putting nothing in. I don't not work. I am very specific on the things that I work on, and I get them done, and then I'm done. And I don't force myself to do more work in a day than I have to do. Like literally, I have this, and then I have maybe one meeting today, 2 meetings today actually. So an hour and a half worth of calls, and then this video. That's all I'm doing today, and that's what my average day kind of looks like. And I'm able to drive the results I drive for my clients, drive the results I drive my one-on-one clients that you could, grab a link in the description, speak with me. I don't have a team here. It's just me, okay? I'll help you grow your business to 20, 50, 100, $500,000. I've got 2 clients that have gotten to 8 figures. That means $10 million a year. And in my other business, the Kingdom Closer Academy, I'm just synthesizing everything that I already know and just driving it over there, and I don't really work that much. There's been some stressful moments where I'm like having to think a lot, but a lot of my work is like intellectual. It's like, okay, I'm looking at this data. What do I think the constraint is? And sometimes it's like, I can't tell if it's this or it's that. Like, for example, our close rate was not that great for like 2 weeks. But then our lead cost was down. And I was like, well, maybe is it the closer or is it the leads? And I was like having a hard time figuring it out. And then I did a deeper analysis. Okay, I'm pretty sure it is actually the leads. So I went back, changed some stuff about our media buying strategy and our close rates, on the way back up now. So it's just like sometimes the work is a little bit stressful and tedious of like, I don't know exactly what the constraint is. But really all you're doing as an entrepreneur is just identifying and solving constraints. That's it. And look, if you want a mentor who's going to come and look at your business one-on-one over a handful of calls, you can book a call with me anytime you want, Slack me 24/7. It's not cheap, okay, but it's going to work if you just follow the action. I've been in this industry for 7 years, well over $10 million in sales, grew a brand new business to 7 figures in less than 4 months. It's pacing multi-7 figures by the end of the year, and 2026 should very well be anywhere from a $3 to $6 million year for that company. And I've helped 2 clients get to 8 figures, okay, and it's actually me. So you're not getting into some consultancy. It's not some big group program where you're not going to be heard. Like, it's actually me. And that's why it's so expensive, is because it's like I'm actually bought in. We become like partners, okay? If you're interested in that, links in the description. You can chat with me. I'm looking for more clients before the end of the year here. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. I just want to kind of rant about this idea of like the harder you work, the more stuck your income becomes. And yeah, thanks for watching.